Hello everyone, I'm CJ.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we're going to get under the covers of Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. We both have this edition, right?
True story.
Show yours. Awesome. It was published in 2011 by Random House Books. And I used my Star Reader bookmark that my friend stole from me from our grade school library.
Oh, nice.
To mark my progress.
And I used my Level Up at your library.
Oh, nice. It's very fitting.
Yeah,
Level Up, like a video game.
Yeah.
And this is very... I didn't use this much, though, because I got through this book pretty quick. It's 372 pages, I believe. That's what I wrote down, but they could be wrong. Yep, 372 pages. It was a quick read. I thought it was a very quick read.
I read it in like a week or something,
Yeah.
I think. It's pretty fast.
Let's talk about the plot. The plot is... Well, it's hard to explain because it's a real world, and then there's a world inside of that world.
Simulation.
A simulation world. The main character's name is Percival. Well, that's his... What's it called?
Screen name?
His screen name or gamer tag or whatever. But his name is Percival, and he lives in the year 2044, and Earth has become just like a wasteland because of the Great Recession and the energy crisis. And, they use this thing called the Oasis, which is, it's kind of like World of Warcraft meets like Second Life, meets like Facebook. Like, their whole life becomes this thing. And they use that to, like, get away from the world. And the creator of the Oasis, his name is James Halliday. Or Halliday, or is it Halliday? Halliday.
It's with an A.
I'm really bad with things today. But James Halliday, and he creates the Oasis, and when he dies, he sets up, like, in his will, he sets up this egg hunt, a treasure hunt to find his fortune. And he uses a lot of, like, 80s pop culture as hints because Halliday grew up in the 80s. And these people, study everything 80s to find obsess over it to find the clues to find the treasure. And that's the story. Percival and his friends trying to find the treasure. And the treasure is all of Halliday's fortune, which is like billions of dollars.
And control of the Oasis.
Oh, and control of the Oasis, which is most important. Who needs money? Let's talk about some of the characters. You can start.
Okay, well, there's Percival. He's the main character. So he is he's coming from a bad life.
Right.
And he's trying to find the Easter egg. And then he has friends that he has in the Oasis. He doesn't have friends in real life, but his friends in the Oasis are H, and then someone that he follows her blog and stuff, and they eventually become friends, Artemis. And then there's also people who are hunting the egg for what?
There's a corporation called the IOI, and they're trying to hunt for the egg because, yeah, I got your segue.
Okay.
And they're trying to find the treasure so they can, own the Oasis and use it as like their own like way of marketing and
making money.
Yeah. And they're pretty much going to turn the Oasis into, the opposite of what it is now, and that's a free, open environment. And they're going to put a lot of restrictions and you have to pay monthly for it. It's kind of like what like they do with like Facebook and like YouTube, like when people buy them out and everyone's like, oh, they're gonna make us pay for Facebook.
Yeah. Share this if you don't want to.
Share this if you don't want to pay for Facebook. And there's another main character in this, and that's James Halliday, and he's not in it at all because he's dead. Well, he's kind of in it at the end, maybe. I don't want to spoil anything. And you really find out a lot about his life and like his upbringing. Well, a little bit about his upbringing and why he becomes the way he becomes. And you need to find this out because they're his clues and his Easter eggs, and you need to find out about his life to find the Easter eggs. And another one of the main characters, I think, is the Oasis. And like we talked about, the Oasis is, the simulation world. And it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of like Facebook meets World of Warcraft meets like everything. And you can pretty much live inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
So then now let's talk about what we liked and what we disliked. You can go first.
I liked a lot of the references, lots of pop culture references. I liked how each chapter ended in kind of like a mini cliffhanger, where it wasn't like some amazing thing was going on that you were like, who killed that guy or whatever, but you were like, well, I want to find out more about that, so I would just keep reading. I liked that. I kind of liked it being about video games and in a simulation because I like video games, so that was fun. What did you like?
I like this idea of ignoring the real world, because in the beginning of the book, Percival talks about how like his reality sucks, like the real world just sucks around him, and he escapes reality by using the simulation. And like as I was reading, I forgot entirely that his real world sucks, and
or even existed.
And then when he gets out of the simulated world, out of the Oasis, and goes into real life, I'm like, wow, I forgot how crappy his real life is. And so I think Cline did that like purposefully.
Yeah.
Purposefully, on purpose. I'm bad at things today. Like I also liked all the 80s references. Like I caught a lot of them and I understood a lot of them. And I liked how he referenced other things as a way to describe something else, which I thought was kind of cool, but at the same time kind of a cop out. I also liked how like it hit like every like nerd fantasy. Like it like references like Ghostbusters and Star Wars and like pro wrestling and like everything.
Video games, Lord of the
Rings, like everything.
Movies,
and, like,
music, all sorts of stuff.
Like anything like nerdy, like it was just like crammed into these 372 pages. So I like that. So let's talk about what we disliked.
I didn't like how there seemed to be a lot of lucky breaks as to how they got out of some sticky situations, both in real life and in the Oasis. And I feel like sometimes when that happened too, which was another thing that you didn't like, was that they explained a lot about that. Like It'd be like, oh, and I did this because I knew that blah 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 would happen.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. Well, I guess you've answered my question, but it seemed like they definitely, I don't know, had an easy time of some things that you'd think would be hard.
Right. That's something I also disliked. I also disliked that there was a lot of like info dumping, but it wasn't bad because it was interesting. But it's just like he would talk about Halliday, and then he would go in like this like 20-page long like biography.
Especially in the beginning of the book, it was kind of like, well, what? Like, this is interesting, but you kind of wanted to, like, for me, I wanted to get into the story.
Right. There's also this idea of that, like, dying in the Oasis. And, like, when you die in the Oasis, you start from level 0. You don't die in real life. You don't lose your money in real life. You don't lose anything in real life. But you just start at level 0 and you lose all the items that you had.
All that hard work.
But, like, there was no, like, real immediate danger, I felt like, for, like, some of the characters. Because if you die, you just start over at level 0.
Although if you were, like, level 99...
Yeah, but by that point, does it really matter, then? Because you can't really die.
I guess you could, and you could probably level up really fast.
Yeah.
But if you had, like, an artifact, like a really rare object, that would stink. But,
like, it, like... There was, like, that kind of made it feel like there was no sense of urgency.
But you say that even though when someone died in the Oasis, I was like, oh no!
Yeah, that's what, like, when someone died, like, there's a part, I can't say, but when people die in the Oasis, you're like, oh man. But then, like, you're like, but, you know.
But it's okay, they're still alive.
Yeah, so, like, he does a good job of, like, making you believe that this life in the Oasis is real. So I guess it kind of makes up for that. So let's get into our final thoughts and ratings. And I usually botch this really bad, but I'm gonna give it a shot this time. My final thoughts are I really like this book. I like I talked about before, I like the idea of the real world sucking and using the Oasis as an escape, and it made me forget about his real life. So then when he goes back into it, it just shows how bleak it is. I also liked all the nerd references. Like if you're a fan of like I said, if you're a fan of like Star Wars or like Ghostbusters or anything like pop culture like nerdy, you'll enjoy this book. Um, you can go now because I lost train of thought.
Oh my goodness.
I'll add some more stuff, I think.
I really liked it a lot. I liked all the pop culture references, even though sometimes like there are these 80s pop culture references that I'm a little too young for, but a lot of them I still got. I liked the simulation and the video games. The way it was written, I thought was good. It kept me reading up late on work night several days. So that was good. So overall, I enjoyed it very much. Highly recommended. I would give it a 4.5.
4.5. Ooh. Like I always had this idea of like combining like fantasy adventure and like science fiction and like how cool that would be. And this book does that, so I really enjoyed that, like the combination of the two, which are usually grouped together, like science fiction, fantasy. Like when you go to a bookstore, they're like usually in the same section.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what if you combine the two? And this does, it combines the two. It's like Dungeons and Dragons meets like Star Wars.
It's like having a robot unicorn.
It is. It's
wizard.
like it's having a robot unicorn wizard with laser beams
Yes.
that shoot out of the
On the horn, yeah. In a rainbow fashion.
And if you drink its blood, you'll live a cursed life. All right, I think I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. It was one of those books where you're reading it and you're like you take notes and you underline, but you're so involved with the story that you forget to underline, and like those are the kind of books that I really like that just like pull you in. And the story was very interesting and, like I said, super nerd, and it's references like every nerdy thing in the world. It's like a giant nerdgasm in your face.
Nerd soup.
Nerd soup. I can use nerdgasm and nerd soup in another review. But this was like a big nerd soup.
It's like a nerd stew.
A nerd stew. It's like a nerd buffet.
Oh,
nerd stew.
yeah.
But so with that said, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Ashley gave it a 4.5 out of 5. So that's 9.5 out of 10 stars. Not 5 out of 10 stars. So 9.5 out of 10 stars is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So with that said, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, a combined rating of 9.5 stars. That's all we have for you tonight. So see you later.
Bye.